Okay, let's talk some Heartbreaker, Led Zeppelin. Led Zeppelin must have wrote this song in 1968 or something, maybe earlier. It definitely came out in 1969. And Heartbreaker is such a cool song. Let's go through this riff and everything that makes it awesome. At least everything that I find that makes it awesome. So, right off the bat, right, the first thing, the riff goes like this, right? Really cool pentatonic single note riff. But that's not how the song starts. The song actually starts on this note right here. So what Jimmy Page is doing, and that's like a little songwriter trick that you can hear a lot of cool bands do, is not to start your riff on beat 1, but Jimmy Page is actually starting it on beat 4. He's playing the upbeat. He's playing the 7 right here. And what that is doing, it's just making it more exciting to listen to, because when listening to it, you know, imagine you've never heard this riff before. This is the first time you're hearing this riff ever. And the riff starts like this. What your brain is probably gonna think is that this note right here is the 1, as if you were playing 1, 2, 3, 4, you know? But then like 1 bar or 2 bars later, the drums and the rest of the band start to play, and they kick in with the drum fill, you know, on beat 4. You know, then of course your brain will spin it back around again, and then you will realize, okay, that's not the 1. This is the 1. You know, and that's just such a cool little trick how to make a simple riff more exciting, you know, than just playing it on the 1, you know. Really cool, really genius move. This riff is basically, it's just a pentatonic played upwards. All Jimmy Page is doing is this. Now, rhythmically, there's something happening here. He's doing this little Skippy Rhythm thing right there, and then he's taking the last note of the pentatonic, which would be the 7, and he's playing it 1 octave below, right here. And I find that kind of increases the pull back to your starting position, right? Back to your first note. Imagine he would have played it up there. Imagine he would have done like this. You know, same note, 1 octave higher. It just doesn't sound right, you know. It doesn't have that pull. But if you play it down there, next magnificent thing about this riff right here, right in the second bar, the riff repeats, right? It's the same riff again, but a rhythmic variation on the first note. He's doing these 16th attacks on the first note on the root tone. And that again, that's actually quite weird to do. You know, a lot of riffs that we hear, of course they have variations. Why do we make variations? Because we don't want something to get boring. Now here's a principle. We can listen to something once, it's not boring. We can listen to it twice, it's not boring. We can even listen to it 3 times and it won't get boring. But now something has to happen. I'm gonna give you some examples. Wolf Mother. You know, first time, second time, third time. Now something that new has to happen. We don't want to listen to it again. We don't want to have it 4 times. No. We got some chord changes. Something new happened, okay? Now, I could give you billions of riffs that have that principle of 3 times the same thing. On the 4th time, there's a variation coming. Now with Heartbreaker, it's a different story because he's got the variation right in the second bar on the first note, and it's not like he's playing a bunch of different notes or chord changes or anything, but he's just got this rhythmic attack, these rhythmic 16th figures right there, and that's enough. You know, that's the genius thing. It's minimalistic, but it sounds organic, it sounds right, and you don't need more, you know? It's the variation that saves that riff from getting boring. So, right after that, I think he plays like 3 times or something. He takes it up one whole step. Again, that's just making the riff. We don't want to hear it again, you know? We want to have something happening. So he's creating a variation. He's lifting it up a whole step, playing the exact same riff. And now, here's another cool moment. This riff is full of cool moments, I'm telling you. The last note would be the last note of the lifted riff, which is the A, is the first note of the original riff, right? Because it started on A. Now, to kind of prevent from playing the same note twice when he wants to get back to the original position, he gives that note quite a bend. Something like that. See? And that little move, that just kept it from, that just saved the riff again, you know? Now he can start over and play the same thing again. Oh, and by the way, I see a lot of people playing it down here. And that, of course, is how Jimmy Page played it. But take a look at some live footage. He clearly also played it up here in this position. So when people tell me that, man, you're playing that riff wrong, yeah, you know what? I don't think there's a right or wrong. I mean, that's just 2 possible ways of doing it. I kind of like to play it up here. I don't know. But of course, it's cool in the open position. What's cool about the open position is that this bend right here, that comes more naturally. I have to admit that. It's more naturally than when you play it up here. Because, you know, because of that slide, that just makes it more difficult. Now, he enters the verse. In the verse, the vocals kick in on beat 1. Live, Jimmy Page is playing a bit more. But on the record, he's really just outlining the harmonic structure of what's happening in the verse. We got A. And then we got these little hits on D, on the 4. And the cool thing is, he's actually playing a D major chord. So you can actually hear the major third in that chord sometimes. I think that's a pretty cool thing because we don't have that often, you know. A lot of times we just have that power chord thing. And Jimmy Page just leaves all the room for the vocals to do their thing. We got this awesome bass line happening in the verse, and of course John Bonham's really cool drums. They just feel right, you know. After the verse, you get back into the riff. Pretty much the same thing. Then verse 2, and after verse 2, we get into a C part. Let's call it C part, bridge. And what Led Zeppelin are doing right here, they're taking that riff again, but they're playing it in the C major position up here in the 8th fret. Then they shift that up even higher, whole step. You know, just creating tons of tension until they hit 12th fret, which is basically the E major chord. And if you know anything about music theory, you know that E major is the dominant of A major is where we came from. You know, it's the root note of the song that we're in. So we're up here. We got the dominant happening. Just so much tension building up. Jimmy Page already starting to kind of solo on that dominant position. Playing something like that, you know. And again, live he's doing a lot more. He's putting a lot more improvisation into his playing. But on record, he's basically just putting in some lead parts and basically just E major chords. That basically is the whole song. Then in the middle part, there's this huge breakdown happening where we only have this absolutely amazing guitar solo. You know, there's nothing else. There's no band playing. It's just Jimmy Page. And I'm going to go through that solo in a separate video because I could talk like for half an hour because there's so many cool moments in that solo. People, leave a comment how you like this video. Are you a Led Zeppelin fan like I am? I've been listening to Led Zeppelin since I'm 14. My dad actually gave gave my brother a birthday present a best of compilation of Led Zeppelin. And when I started listening to that CD, I actually did not like it at first. But it took me like a week or two where I was just like passively listening to that CD, coming from the room of my brother. And I started to like it. I started to like it more and more and more. And Led Zeppelin was kind of like a band that really grew on me. And it was, I can remember that the sound, that was the reason why I didn't like it. The sound was so different from what I was used to. It had these big room sound, you know? And of course that's like the signature sound of Led Zeppelin, have these big room drums and like room on everything, on the guitars, on the vocals. It all sounded different to what I've been used to listening, like Metallica and what else? Bloodhound Gang, like, you know, him. Those were the bands that I've been listening to previous to that. They had a much more direct sound. Yeah, people, if you like this kind of content, put a comment in the box, leave a like, would appreciate it a lot, and subscribe, of course. See you next time. Thanks for watching.